Okay, part two. Anybody's part two? I hope somebody's out there still. Comcast knocked me off because they stink, and they were down the street working today and messing with my wireless all day. So they came and bit me in the butt here. So if you're out there and you want to keep going, we were doing pretty well there for a half hour. So I'll come back and do the other half hour if somebody wants. So please like, share, subscribe, comment, and even hit the thanks button here on YouTube. And hit the mean one. There you are, Joel. We're going to reload here. I got knocked offline. So see if people start finding me again, or maybe they just everybody said heck with it and went home for it. Steve, you're back. So Steve, how'd you find me again? Did you just see I repop back up? Comcast knocked me offline. So disgruntled with Comcast. Saw they cut their deal with and they didn't get their deal done with NFL Network either. So you guys see me like pop back up on the screen. That's how we're finding me. I mean, we had about 50 people online when I got knocked out. So tired of that. Ask questions. We'll try and go back up again. I'm starting to come back. Thank you for that. I don't know why Comcast has to just screw with everything. I didn't want them. I wanted to stay with Verizon, but when I moved to a new place, I couldn't get Verizon. So the snow, I'm getting knocked out power. Well, Chuck, I'm not getting snow, but I got knocked off thanks to Comcast. Oh, Comcast, I hate you. So take that for customer service. Quit knocking me offline. It's hard when you work at home, especially, my wife's working from home too, and it's just so disruptive. They're trying to upgrade our service. It was working fine until they started upgrading the neighborhood. All right, we'll get back to Commander's line. And I gave out my Derby picks and I saw I was gone. So, man, I was going to give you guys this 80-1 shot. And make sure you wrote it down. All right, let me talk Derby for a minute while everybody's coming back. So, Derby. I don't pick the Derby until Friday. I covered 20 of them in a row at one point. I've always covered horses. So, Forte is a 3-1 favorite. I'm not sure I'm going to bet on that. They draw the post positions on Tuesday. I always wait till Friday. So come back to Rick Snyder's Washington on Friday, and I will hopefully give you the winner, and I get 10% of the wins and none of the grief. But I will say Sun Thunder and Confidence Game and Angel of Empire probably going to be in my exotics. It's a great day. Great thing about the Kentucky Derby, it's 2 minutes. So when it's a commercial from something else, you can watch the Derby. And I think I covered 33 Preaknesses. And I just finally decided I was done. I seen the Triple Crown winners, so I was ready to go. So we'll do Derby on Friday probably. Ever been into sports cards? When I was 11, 12, 13 years old, yeah. I still have a lot of them. I kept some moving here. I don't know if they're worth anything. Matter of fact, I gave one to a friend of mine. And he told me, "Hey, that was great, man. I sold it for all this." I'm like, "You want to share some of that with me?" Yeah. It was a gift. Way it goes. The Sam Howell auto and now a jersey card. All right. Well, it's like investing. Maybe it'll be good. I have a few. Like I have a Sunny 3D one. We used to give him cereal boxes and all back in the 70s. Why didn't we take a tight end? I think the good ones were gone. I'm just glad Dallas didn't get Kincaid. That was at least the upside of that. They like their room. It's nice to like things, but got to upgrade sometimes. Let's see. Chuck says, Martin said he weren't done signing players. Well, they gave out a list of 12 of them today. Anybody, and of those, maybe one or two make the team max. Might make practice squad. But they've got their lineup pretty much. Could they get a post-June one cut? Maybe. They have before. If you can find somebody there that's productive and doesn't cost you a lot, go for it on everything. All right. So not as many people came back to me, but okay. What can we say? It's Comcast screwed the show. What can I tell you? It's sort of like ESPN goes to commercials when the Commanders picks are up. You notice they did it again? Did it again. And then it's like, oh, the next team's already picked. Let's talk about them instead. I mean, come on, man. This is getting old after a while. I know they say it's not intentional. My butt, it's not intentional. You can't do it this many times by accident, especially when they're not picking in the same spot every year necessarily. Um, so it's I don't know. Somebody's got something going on there. Big Game 7 hockey game. Yeah, not the Caps though. Yeah, I noticed Boston got knocked out. Remember the Caps were the eighth seed and got knocked out in the first rate. I'm sorry, they were the first seed, got knocked out by an eighth seed a few years ago, and everybody was shocked. Well, I mean, they didn't win as many games as Boston did this year, but I don't watch a lot of this for another round or two. I like, yeah, I only have so much time, and I just can't watch sports 24 hours a day like you guys do. Let's see, Joe. Will Xfinity and the NFL Network reach a new deal? They'll reach a new deal in the next week. Everybody wants money. Chuck, I was watching Pat McAfee show, and he did a halftime show where the Commands were picking. Yeah, there you go. How will Cole Turner perform this year, Mojo? I thought he looked very good last year in the off-season camps, and then he got hurt in August, and he just never recovered from it. He got hurt again. So I have to toss last year out. But you got to love a big target. I thought he showed me a lot. He can run when the ball, he's good at catching and running, which is not as simple as it sounds because the quarterback's got to put it there for you. I think Sam, I know they say Jacoby's now competing for the job, but I suspect Sam's going to open the season. I think you owe it to the franchise to see if your young quarterback can do it. Otherwise, why'd you draft him? Can't play him. Is Obi going to break the record? Absolutely, Justin. I mean, how long? The question is when. Is it probably 2 seasons away, and then maybe he retires. He always said he wanted to play in Russia to end his career. So he's Russian. So I was in Russia in 2019 in St. Petersburg, and I was with a tour guide. I was on a ship. So I come off and asked this young guy, the tour guy, I said, "Hey, you ever heard of Ovi?" And he goes, "Oh yeah, he knew who Ovi was. I just thought I'd ask a guy on the street, do you know who Ovi is?" Yeah, really, he's a national hero. He plays on the Russian hockey team for like the Olympics and all. So, it's a big deal there. I think I could see him retiring from the NHL and then going there for a year or two, have some fun, doesn't have to worry about the money, that kind of thing. Joe said, "I'm surprised we didn't draft tight end. You and everybody else." I mean, it's just didn't fall to them. Imagine if they'd skip Young and pick Herbert. Joel, I was talking about this with somebody today. Chase was supposed to be this generational talent. Maybe he still will be. So you took a shot, and it didn't work. Justin, I have an Obi jersey. Woo, okay, cool. I don't have many. As a matter of fact, I got my first Redskins jersey last year. Someone gave me a Mark Mosley signed, which was my favorite player growing up at one time in the 70s and 80s. Yeah, so I always liked Mark. And I know Mark well now, and great guy. Saw him a few months ago. So he's the guy who made Five Guys burgers become the thing it is. Quick story there. Mark ran a lot of restaurants, but just never had a lot of luck. But he goes to this guy who has him and his 4 sons with this burger place. It's with their 5 guys. And says, "I think we could franchise this." And I've talked to the owner, and he verified this story. He said, "I don't think you're going to do anything with it, but if you want to take a shot, go ahead." And 5 Guys, is everywhere. And it's the best burger. In-N-Out burgers, bleh. Whataburger, double blah. I haven't had Jack in the Box stuff. It's on the East Coast. But all of you In-N-Out burger people, you act like a cult on this matter. I don't see it. It's okay. But now, 5 Guys, that's great burgers, great fries. You don't walk out hungry from that place. All right. Now I started a war, I'm sure. Live wire. I regret to this day living in Alabama and not buying an Ovi jersey at Ross down here. That you saw down there. Wow. In Alabama? Never been a hockey team anywhere near in Alabama, is it? There's no ice in Alabama. 5 Guys or In-N-Out. 5 Guys. 5 Guys. That's just not even a question, Mojo. 5 Guys are. I'll get a small burger. I can eat some food, but not like I used to when I was younger. But when you're 18, you can eat a mountain of food. When you get in your 60s, nah. Which is a good thing. I think it's life telling you you've had enough to eat. You're on the way out, so we're not letting you eat a lot. But Five Guys, and Five Guys, yeah, still costs a little more, but never give up. Burger Chef or Hardee's, boy, that's old school, isn't it? I liked Burger Chef, which is no longer around. Sort of like Burger King. I liked Hardee's, but I'll say Burger Chef. Why not? Lime, Auburn, and Alabama both have D1 hockey teams. Oh, okay. I grew up in Washington, so we didn't really have local skating rinks back in the 70s. So I covered the Caps one season, talking to the coach, Terry Murray, talking about his skating technique. And I said, well, I've never been on skates. And he's like, what? How can you have never been on skates? I said, look around. Do you see any ice? And if you do, big guys like me don't wander out on it. 100 years ago, we talk about global warming stuff. 100 years ago, you see pictures of where the rivers in Washington froze over and people went out on the Potomac and all. I have seen that happen, but it's been years since we've seen that happen. So I don't go, why? I've never been on skates. Doubt I ever will. Now I'd fall, break a hip, and die. So, on there. The weirdest part of covering hockey one season is it's a beautiful fall day, and I go in the rink, and I got to take a coat with me to go inside because it's so cold. Everywhere is so cold. Locker room, everything, freezing. When they were at Piney Orchard. So I liked covering hockey. The guys were fun. I had some real crazy people like Al Iafrate. He would light his cigarettes in the training room with a blowtorch, stuff like that. They were teaching some of the Russian players new. I forget who it is, but they first word the Americans taught him when he approached a woman was to say something, and it was a bad thing to say, and they all thought it was funny, and he got his face slapped a few times, and trying to wonder what's up with this. So they taught him all the bad words first. Then they taught him how to say hamburger, so he'd at least be able to get something to eat when he would go walk, in a restaurant. He ate hamburgers a lot when he first came. This is back when the world was a smaller place and you still had to sneak your way out of Russia to come here and all that, the Soviet Union stuff. So, God, if I'm telling hockey stories, you really are down to the bone. I did one year; they were a decent team. I enjoyed it. I've covered basketball too for a season. Did the Wiz when they were the Bullets. Covered Wes Unseld as a coach. Wes Unseld loved to wing the ball at reporters' heads and hard. And if he never caught me, but he would always try and nail you and laugh. I mean, now I could go to the league and get you suspended for that. But Wes was a rough kind of guy, played hard, big guy. There was a player once for the Bullets. He at practice. He gets his legs cut out from under him, and he goes from like 5 feet up in the air straight down on his back. Only time I've ever seen a pro athlete cry in a setting, crying, sobbing. I thought, oh my God, this guy's broke his back or something. Wes comes over and grabs him and says, "Get up, you big baby." And I'm thinking, Wes, this dude's seriously hurt. No, he was being a big baby. So I can't remember for sure his name it is. I won't say it, but that was so wild. I've never seen anybody cry in sports like that. Who has more TDs next year, Bates or Forbes? Bates. I'll go there. 2-1. Joel, any of the undrafted guys signed any hidden gems? I haven't vetted them out enough, Joel, to look at. I saw the list a couple hours ago, but I've been busy doing a podcast. Seasons of Discontent podcast is up again tonight and Thursday. Then we're taking a break again. It's kind of off season. We got to take breaks whenever we can, because once you get going in July, you don't stop till February. So a little bit of the off season. I like to have a little bit of a personal life. So is my partner Matt. So we're going to do some things a little differently this fall. I think a little more content than we've had. Yes, I have noticed the DC Defenders mojo. I went to a game the first year. It was fun. Do I think the Commanders noticed? They should, and say, why are these people so happy? Why is their crowd there? I mean, the crowd's only 15,000 or so, but hey, they're fans. I mean, go get that base. What are they doing? Foot model. If they stay relatively healthy, what's their prediction? 10-7. I got to see the schedule first. Even though the schedule changes so much during the season and when you're doing it, I still like to see it first. Trey Lance stepping away from the Skins Commanders. Um, don't know what to tell you about that. Never give up. Next week is the schedule, and I was talking today how many primetime games I think they have. My over under will be 4, and I think they'll play the Dallas game at Thanksgiving, which we've had a couple years off of that. But I can see maybe the Jets game being at night now, and Aaron Rodgers is there. Maybe, so I'll go 4 on there. A Thursday and 3 others. Thursday, Thanksgiving, 2 night games. Hopefully the road ones, so I don't have to cover them until 2 in the morning. Does Jason Wright stay on with the new owner? Asked Joel. I think maybe temporarily, but eventually, no, they'll bring in their own guys. Favorite beverage? Sweet tea guy yourself, says Brandon. Well, I don't drink sweet tea because I'm a diabetic. So I do drink unsweet tea a lot. Matter of fact, that's what's in here right now. I was at Mission Barbecue today. I love Mission Barbecue. And I was there at noon. And if you've ever been to Mission Barbecue at noon, they play the national anthem and everybody gets up, stops eating, crew stops working. Everybody has their hand over their heart or salutes. I saw some old guys saluting. And they play the national anthem. God bless them. I love that. So my favorite beverage would be probably unsweet tea. Probably drink it more than anything. You don't want to drink too much soda because then you'll get a kidney stone and you don't want any part of that. I haven't had one and I don't want one. But I've had friends have them. My father used to have them terribly. I don't want any of that. So you drink enough water and tea, you're fine for that. Yeah, we lost a lot of people. We only got about half the crowd back. Oh, well, what can I tell you? We still got about 15 minutes to go. And then, I don't know. I'll be back in a few weeks, and especially whenever the team sale thing really goes on, we'll all come on and start drinking together or something. Doing it. What year did I start covering the Skins, Joel asked? 1983 was my first time out there, but I was a punk kid. So I'd show up now and then in the 80s. By 93, it was my main thing. So I never thought I'd cover the Redskins, but it's where the money is, quite honestly. I was covering horses for a while. I love covering horses, but there's no money covering it. So when you work for papers and all, you try and move up. Guys cover the team a lot younger now. There's not as many old guys in the papers, including me. But you still read. I'm still at 1067 The Fan. If you want to read me there, I have a story up today on how I thought the draft went. So yeah, it's a lot of years. It's 40 years ago. I had hair and everything. One time, Doug Williams said, "I don't remember you," and I'm like, "I had a lot more hair and I looked a lot younger." Like he can talk. Mojo, who have a better career, Gonzalez or Forbes? Gonzalez. Do I think new ownership would partner or work with DC Defenders in any way? I would if I were them, because they could use the fans too. It's not like it's sold out for 200,000 waiting list. Nothing wrong with helping each other out. Now, the NFL might have a problem with that. I don't know. Joe's, here's the schedules next week. Yeah, here a week from Thursday. But sometimes it gets delayed a day or so. They won't do it on the weekend. And they wouldn't do it on a Friday. So if it doesn't go that Thursday, it's going to the next week. Because it's got to be on TV, and everything's about TV. Why didn't Bezos bid? Mojo asked. I think in the end, he may have thought $6 billion was too much. I mean, I look at it this way. Denver went for 4.65. Denver's got a stadium it can use for years. It's got the fan base for 100 miles around. Yes, it's the 16th TV market, and Washington is the 8th. But Washington's going to need a new stadium for a couple $1 billion. And, not the fan base it once was. You got to get them back. I think a lot of people will come back with Dan Snyder leaving. Then you got to win. So maybe Bezos thought I can get Seattle cheaper, and Seattle won't need a new stadium, and their fan base is solid. I think that's what happened. Favorite coach to cover? I don't know. I would say Norv, because I spent a lot of years with Norv. And the worst one was Shanny. Hated Shanny. Well, or Schottenheimer. That's a good one. I had him longer to deal with Shanny, so I'll say Shanny. Didn't like either guy. Both of them were their own worst enemies, bad personalities. It's amazing how many coaches are not very good at certain things like communicating with the press and start fights and stuff like that with you and just make it harder. And you're like, why? It's stupid. The best Super Bowl skins team of all of them. Never give up. The last one. I mean, it's kind of funny because they were the older players at that point, but the last one was the best team. 91, not 92, like on certain emblems that somebody put out and had to change. Where do I think the new stadium will be? Asked John. Well, I was saying Landover for a while, but I think RFK's got a real chance to have something happen there. I know Virginia's going to come back in, and it's sort of like we were. DC and Virginia were out with Dan Snyder, which is one big reason why the sale happened. It's not about all the allegations of the sexual this and that. That got the government to look at them. It's sort of like cheating on your taxes. You don't want to do something small and stupid, cheating on your taxes, because then the IRS is going to say, what else did you do? And then you got problems. Well, same thing here. The House committee started looking at things. Then the local government said, we're not doing business for a stadium with them. Then the other NFL owner said, dude, enough of this. We got to get rid of you because we need a new stadium. You're cutting into our money on this as they share things. That's why all this is happening. In case you came back, some of you have. If you want to hit the thanks button, I know I don't talk about it enough, but if you want to hit the thanks button, I always appreciate it. It's a $sign thing down the bottom. And all money comes to me. So do appreciate that. And that's why I give you some time, and you don't get much insider history and all that from other people. It's always about the money, Mojo. Yeah, absolutely. It's always about the money. I don't care what you're talking about, whatever. It's always about the money. Thank you, Augustine. Appreciate it. There you have the bell ring. People love the bell. People love the bell. I started this show with $10. Matter of fact, I wrote a book about it right behind me. How to start a YouTube channel on $10. We're getting ready to have our 4,000 follower pretty soon, probably another week or two, among other things. More than almost 13 million people have watched this show in 2.5 years. But I would pay $5 for this. And if I forget to hit it at the very end of videos, people go, hey, what happened? And once in a while I forget. Or if I'm doing a remote one from my car, I'll honk the horn. But it's not the same thing. So I don't know. People love it. My grandson loves it. He always comes in. He's 3 years old now. Finds my bell, goes ringing it till his parents grab it back from him. And then I come to a show and I go, and the bell's gone. That sucked. Mr. Peniel, thank you so much for chipping in. I appreciate it. Yeah, kids love bells. And that boy will take anything. Boy can hit a ball too. He can hit a pitch at 3. He was hitting him at 2. Might be my way out of everything. Be one of those old sports writer dads whose kids make the pros. Wouldn't that be great? But he's my grandson, so I will be old if he makes the pros. Michael, the money is why I don't think the federal government gives RFK back. Well, they first have to really give it to D.C. And then I think half the land would go to other things because D.C. wants stuff for that. But there's a way to make everything work. You just can't be greedy about the land. Maybe keep one of the parking lots, lot 8, down by the river, and people might remember. But you're going to have a second metro stop blend in there, a different color line. So if you're going to make 50,000 people use the metro, got to have 2 lines. We can't get people down in there. So I like metro. I've been taking it a lot lately. I know a lot of people don't like it, but it's worked for me. Cheap. Think about it. Think about what the prices will cost at the next stadium. I mean, parking would probably be $75 or more. You can take the subway for a few bucks. All right. Let's see. Never give up. Do you think Dan Snyder was a willful communicator? He wouldn't be so hated as much. But he's shy with the media, as you say. He's shy with people in life. When he can't control the narrative, it makes him very nervous, insecure. And that was one of his big problems. He wanted to be one of the boys so much, but he's one of those guys that it doesn't work. It just doesn't work. So he had a lot of things like that. Fans would boo him, all that kind of stuff. When they booed Tanya, that was kind of a breaking point too. She was like, screw this. So they're, living in jolly old England now, and maybe there'll be a King Charles's coronation. We'll see. Scan the crowd. See if you see Dan there somewhere. Wouldn't that be something? Do I think Harris is the right fit? He owns other teams, focus elsewhere, Mojo asked. And I agree. That was my first thought was, Well, how is this guy going to focus? But what he does, and he's shown it elsewhere, is he hires good young talent to run his teams, and he's there when you need him. He's the business side guy, but he doesn't have the time to get as involved. I mean, how much would Jeff Bezos have been involved? Is he going to give up his outer space program or his Amazon? No. So I think Harris. I give him a chance. Give him a chance. Give him until at least the opening loss before we start booing. With the contract for the Dish Network coming up, what platform do you see taking over distribution? Well, YouTube definitely is, in this game now. They're doing crazy money on this stuff. So YouTube went up. What did it go up? Like $20 a month or something crazy? I don't. I shouldn't say this, but I post on YouTube, but I don't have YouTube, and I have YouTube TV, but I don't watch games that way because I'm covering a game. I'm either at the home games or I'm watching the road games on network TV. I don't travel anymore. Did for a lot of years, but getting old. And it's a grind if you have to travel too. I know nobody wants to hear our problems, but covering NFL teams is a lot of work, wearing on you. And I had a heart attack at 42 doing it because I was working 80-hour weeks and on the road 50, 75 days a year, and it just caught up to me. And I had to take a step back, which I'm not regretting. But it's been great covering an NFL team most of my adult life, really. And I really enjoyed it. I don't have any regrets. How many primetime games I think the Commanders get? Yeah, Paul, as I said earlier on the show, people watch for like 15-minute cycles. So even if some of you hung in the whole time, I repeat answers because others haven't. So I think 4. I think Thanksgiving Day game, there'll be a Thursday nighter like they have. And I think they'll get a couple Sunday, Monday nights. Maybe, something like Jets or New England or something like that, or Philly. Yeah, they had Philly games last year. Sonny Jurgensen, the greatest Skins quarterback ever, never give up. Sonny will tell you it's Sammy Ball. I didn't get to see Sammy Ball because that was like a million years ago. But you see his stats, he's in the Hall of Fame too. But if we throw out Sammy Ball, let's just say since World War II, because, the problem in town like here, you got Walter Johnson and guys like that. I mean, you can't get past that stuff. Then, yes, I say Sonny is the best one since. Joe Theismann's got more wins, but he played on better teams. Getting a new stadium built cost too much to rebuild, Augustine says. Yeah, I mean, listen, there's going to be, personal seat licenses. It's going to be expensive to go to the next game. You don't build $2 billion stadiums and still keep hot dogs at $5, or whatever. You have to pay money. Honestly, I don't know why people buy season tickets, because at least now you can get them on the resale market for so much cheaper. Pick which games you want to go to. You don't have to buy the tickets to the dogs or something like that, or if you're busy. I wouldn't buy it. If they're going to the Super Bowl and you want to be there every week, but they got to win some games before they get to that new stadium to make people say, okay, I'll pay the extra money. Joe prefers the 1 and 4 p.m. games. Absolutely. I would love 1 o'clock games. It means I actually go home about 8 o'clock, which is nice. Getting night games, I go home at 2 a.m. Sucks. Plus, yeah, as Joel says, they get beat a lot on primetime games. I don't know what it is, man. Bino Cook used to have this great line about a team, and he said, I think it was LSU. He says, because LSU would play nights a lot. And he'd say, what do LSU and Dracula have in common? They both suck at night. So you could transfer that joke to another team here. What is it? Oh, it's almost 9 o'clock. Well, I'll go a few minutes extra since Comcast screwed up. Thank you, everybody who did come back after Comcast just ended my show for it. And it says here, the ads will run shortly for some viewers and 45 seconds. So I'll hit the skip ad thing. So maybe they won't happen. Okay. 30 seconds from now, you see an ad, but I just knocked it out. I just cost myself money. Probably made 10 cents off that ad. So if you'd like to hit the thanks button before we leave, send me into the off season with some money. I always appreciate that. Why isn't Larry Brown in the Hall? Never give up. I love Larry Brown. He's one of my favorite players. I saw him, I think it was 2018 maybe, or 2019. think it was. They had a presser at RFK trying to mount some interest in it. I know people, my old partner, David Elfin at the Times, tried very hard as a Hall of Fame voter for years on this. I think he should. I think he deserves it as much as some other people. But in the end, people like him and Theismann and some others are just like that much away. And as time goes, the harder it gets. Why isn't Joe Jacoby in? You know, Brian Mitchell should be in. I think Gary Clark should be in. Dave Butts. I mean, there's a few. Frank, I think the only prayer to having a productive tight end is Cole. I think he is. It's not that he has to improve. He has to be healthy, I think. Paul, thank you for coming. Appreciate it. Did they really show that other stuff, Joe? All right. Let's see. Larry Brown was the NFL MVP. He was. The knock about him, Michael, is that he only had several good productive years. Hey, there's plenty of guys in the Hall of Fame who only had several good productive years. You know? Augustine's feeling optimistic about the season. Well, you should. This is the time of year. They haven't lost the game yet. We need a monument park. I agree with that, Mojo. I have said the new stadium should have a 5G monument park. Think if you have on the wall, Darryl Green runs a 4-1, whatever. See how fast that is in reality. Things like that. Have your you could do so much with the new 5G stuff. That's where it's okay to put a statue up, but do interactive things. I think would be really cool. Kevin, do I think Forbes will make it the whole season without an injury? I'm not going to bet on somebody getting hurt. So I'm hoping he does. When's the deadline to dig a stadium hole if they want to make a new stadium in 2027? Ooh, got to be January of 2025. 2.5 years. That's pretty much it. They can stay at FedEx another year or whatever. At least, not a problem. The lease changes a lot in 2027. They won't make as much money. That's why. 72 was the year Dolphins went undefeated, but they didn't have the MVP, as Michael says. That's right. Washington did. Shane B. Mitch isn't in the Hall of Fame, says Joe. I agree with you there. I think B. Mitch should. He's second in career combined yardage to Jerry Rice. Okay, that's the list. Jerry Rice, Brian. Yes, Brian was mostly a returner, but he was a really good one. They put Devin Hester in before Brian. That would really annoy me. But he's more current. Voters know him better. I don't think it's right. Can Darryl still run a fast 6'3", never give up? I don't know if Darryl can do a 6'3" anymore, but I bet he can do a 6'5". Something. I mean, he 4'5" rather. 6'3". Oh, he's at 63 years old. I'm sorry. Yeah. Darryl and I are the same age, so I think Darryl could run a 4'5", 4'6" now. Joe, just check TV and NFL Network is working again. Oh, all right, there you go. I knew they'd work this out quick. This happens. Channel 9, the CBS station, had this problem last year for a hot minute. They always work it out. Everybody's a tough guy, so they have to get all these phone calls saying, "Where's my show?" And Mojo's can't believe Snyder's gone. Well, he'll always be with us a little bit. That's the sad part. But I'm not saying his name anymore once he's gone. I'll say my name because I spell Snyder right. Let's see. Joe says, I'm not a Skins fan, but think B-Mitch is underappreciated. Well, thank you coming for the show. I mean, it's not like we talk about anything else but Commanders, or if people want to ask a pizza question or something about tourism, there's my website behind me. If you want to come on tour, glad to take you around. A lot of people did this spring. I had a number of Commanders fans, Redskins fans. We talk a little football and go see things. One of the guys made me walk 10 miles. Man, we walked a long ways that day. But I have a lot of tours on there. You can see what you pick one, see if you want to come. Or Old Town Alexandria, I have half price tickets. We're going on a walk week from Saturday morning. It's like 90 minutes. A lot of cool stuff in Old Town Alexandria. So come on the tour. Go. It's only $25. And then we get done at lunchtime, and there Bugsy used to play for the Washington Caps. Bugsy Watson has a bar and a sports bar right there in Alexandria that I pretty much end near. So guys want to do something, come on the tour. We'll go drink beer and watch the game or something afterwards. Let's see, Joe. Oh, I'm sorry, we love area sports. Yeah, I mean, I'm a Washington fan, so whoever plays here, I root for them. What do I care about, the New York Jets or Green Bay or whatever? I mean, you know. What do I think about the Lamar Jackson deal? Paul asked. I think it was a little more than I would have wanted to pay him given his history. It's less than he wanted. So I think in the end, both sides weren't really happy, but they made it work. And that's the best part of negotiating on that. Lamar does his own deal, so he saves a 1%. So if it was like 250 million bucks or something, he saved a couple $1 million doing it himself. Let's see. We'll be excited with the Skins org again. I would never give up. Yeah, I think people are going to be happy again to, support the team. It's not an embarrassment anymore with this owner causing all these problems. Those days are finally done. Now, can they win? We'll see. But I think they have an opportunity to win, and they have an opportunity not to be embarrassed about off-field things as much. But things will still happen. That's the nature of it. Wait until Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert get paid. Yeah, that's true, Brandon. What are we, 2 years from that, I think? So, Joe Burrow, I love Joe Burrow watching him play. He's my new Brady favorite. I used to love watching Brady play. But now I love watching Joe Burrow. Just good players. As long as they change to something less embarrassing than Commanders, well, Michael, they're still good through. If they do, it's still 4 years away. They can't change it before then. You have to do 5 years with a new name under an NFL rule. John Kime reported that. Will there be changes at FedEx Field this season? Well, they got some new duct tape, Paul, so I expect, they'll fix up some of the railing for you. Sorry. Yeah, I saw where it has the smallest scoreboard in the league. I didn't realize that. But, listen, it's going to be too soon for the new guys coming in June to do much. Hey, if you can clean it up, keep the sewer pipes from bursting, that's a good first year. Commanders has Snyder stench on it. Well, Joe, let's say they go to the Super Bowl twice in the next 3 years, or even once. Would you still be okay with it? That's a lot of it. Did Snyder really hide a dead fish in the owner's box in Nationals Park? SJ, no. The story was he had somebody pour milk on the carpet so that it would smell bad. So it wasn't a dead fish. If that's at Nationals Park. He did that to the Nationals owners at FedEx was the milk. I haven't heard about the fish at Nats Park. I don't even know if it goes there. Dan's not really one to go out and about to others. I've never heard of him at a Nats game or a Caps game or Wiz on there. Let's see. Let's wrap it up. So, we actually got a few people in. I'll stay a few minutes extra just because of the Comcast glitch that screwed everything up. And if you want to hit the thanks button on the way out, I appreciate it. Fans are afraid to think of Hal's legit. Mojo, yeah. I know people are always skeptical. I really say give Hal a chance. I think he can be okay. He'll be like Mark Rippon okay. Something like that. He'll be decent. Maybe not great, but decent. And decent's a hell of a lot better than what they've had. Can he be like Brad Johnson good? Things like that. Maybe. What about the beer and food at FedEx? I haven't heard anything about it because I don't buy either one. Sorry, Paul. I can't drink during the games. That's not allowed. And I eat in the press box, so I don't know what you guys are up to. I try to keep my money. One thing Snyder did right is he married a beautiful woman. True, never, but I am married to the prettiest Mrs. Snyder in this town. She's right behind me there. Been married 42 years. I got the best of that deal. So she married me. That's her problem. Something about love. So I have a wonderful wife. So beautiful as all, as you can see. So I won that one too, Dan. Sorry. All right. Any last questions? Ask them up, and when we're fading to the off season for a couple weeks, whenever they really sell or whatever, I'll do a live show. I'll do stuff around the camps, which are more of late May. I'll come around, and mini camp in June. I'll do a show, and then like everybody else in the organization, you take off from like mid-June to mid-July. That's the quietest time of the year in the NFL. That's vacation time. So I probably will do that too. Am I taking a break next week? Yes, Michael. So I'll be off for at least the next couple of weeks. I'll post a notice when I'm coming back. Just just want to try and take a got to freshen up a little bit. Now we finished the draft and all that. Can throw away all my draft notes and all the preview mags and everything else. Throw it all in the recycling bin and have some fun. So I'll be doing Kentucky Derby Friday. I'll release my pick. So if you go to Rick Snyder's Washington, the 2-minute thing, I post shows on YouTube at 6 a.m. and try to do it around 5 p.m. Depends on how the news cycle's going. And then other times too. And I'll have it up 6 a.m. Friday, who I like. You can bet it to win, melt down your gold, cash in your bonds. We're going to win this one. I've won a few times. I had a 20-to-1 shot win years ago. War Emblem. Really liked them. And cashed big that day. That was a good day. When they started taking rubber bands off of, money to hand it to you, that's a good day. Best draft year in team history. Okay, the year they got everybody, it was 81, when they got like Grimm and May and all those guys. That was it. I think it was 81. That would be easily. I mean, in recent years, yeah, it's kind of hard. Anymore, it seems like if you can get two guys to really be good for you and another guy to help, that's about as good as it gets. Will I be watching the Kings coronation this weekend, Mojo asks. Sadly, yes, because my wife has already staked out plans for the big TV in the main room, and she said it's over at 10 a.m. because I want to go. Saturday is also embassy open embassy day in D.C. for a lot of embassies, and I've really wanted to see this one home for years. That used to be the owner of the Hope Diamond lived there, and it's a gargantuan place on Embassy Row. Evelyn Walsh McLean's place. And it's now the Indonesian embassy, and they don't open it up except this one day a year. You can walk in a lot of the embassies for free. They entertain you. They actually welcome you. I want to go see that Saturday. So I think we'll watch the King thing and then say, hey, let's go have lunch in town and go see the several of the embassies. Do I have season tickets? No, Eli. I'm a reporter and I'm a columnist now. So I don't have to pay anything to get in. I get paid to go in on there. That's a nice part of the job too. It'll be your first time at the club level. Great, man. I hope you enjoy it. I've been in the club level a couple times, but I'm usually covering the game and I got things to do, so I don't have time to go do that. But promise me you'll sit outside and watch some of the game and not on a TV. Pay all that money and watch it on TV like you could at home. In a few years, you're going to get 5G experience at home where they're going to wire players up. You're going to see so much on TV to feel the experiences of it. It's coming. It'll be game changing, literally, I guess, how it goes. So they'll probably at some point they'll have polls running during the game of what play should we run next. I can see that. I'm not a big sports betting guy because I don't feel that you have a real chance to win. In the end, I've been around sports betting a long time. I can tell you it's hard to win, and I just don't like how they sucker people this way. Well, being at the game is cool, but being on TV, you can see a lot more sometimes. FedEx Field is, listen, RFK was a doghouse, but people loved it because they won. New stadium, my idea. Hope they do it. Create an area behind the team bench where the stands have hydraulics and can go up and down. And that way people feel like they can bounce in the stands like they did at RFK. And that's because those were temporary baseball bleachers. It was a multi-purpose stadium. So that's why they went up and down. Well, do it in the new place. People would pay more to sit in that section. I think that would be a great thing to do in the next stadium. Have the stands that go up and down. Live football is great. Live sports in general is great. I don't know any sport I like better on TV than I do live. Best live games in DC, Caps. That's 60 minutes of craziness. The NBA would be nice, but the Wiz never win anything, so that's harder. Baseball is nice. It's a little slow. I like the new baseball rule of, what's good, what's play. Quit taking your gloves off 50 times at bat. So the new one's working out great. Hope parking's better at the new stadium. No. It ain't going to happen, Eli. You're going to be taking the metro if it's at the right place. You don't. I give up your car. Learn something from an old man. Give up your car and just take the metro to the game. And find friends that are tailgating with their car and go over there and eat there. Find Tailgate Ted. Pay $20 to eat at his thing or something. Donate. You donate money at Tailgate Ted's. Tailgate Ted, I've been around some. He's a wonderful man and donates a lot of money to charity that they raise from these tailgates. And his food's awesome. So Tailgate Ted's not far from the stadium, but he's close to one of the entrances. Go do that. What percentage do you give us to return to RFK? Mojo? 60%. I might be willing to go to 70 at some point, which means I think it's more likely than not. That's my guess. I have a good feeling about this. Bucks versus Redskins 2015, greatest comeback in team history, and you were there live, Joe. Pretty special. Okay. Gosh, I'm trying to remember the game. That all melts away when you've seen as many games as I have. I'd have to look at it and then go, okay, I remember it now. But blanket like that, I don't have the memory for that anymore. Nothing rocks like RFK. Yeah, I mean the Skins Cowboys title game. Sure, the two of those were awesome. You know, beat the Cowboys, went to the Super Bowl, they won the Super Bowl. Outside of the 3 Super Bowl wins, the 2 biggest wins in modern history for this team were beating the Cowboys in the NFC Championship games. Those 2 definitely would be number 4 and 5. And maybe, well, I don't think you can pass Super Bowls, but kind of close, you know, beating the Cowboys. So I always enjoy that. Yeah, makes Cowboy fans cry. Whatever. All right, 9:15. All right. Oh, I'm running out of battery juice too. Camden's the best baseball stadium. Yeah, RFK was a really nice baseball stadium. When they came back for a couple of years there, I liked sitting in the outfield with good seats. Now it's a little harder at Nats Park, and it's too expensive. If I ever retire, I want to spend all 81 games at Nats Park and sit in a different seat every game, different section, do the whole thing. And my last one be behind home plate. Tip enough money, maybe I can make that happen one year. Be kind of fun. I'd like to write a book about it, but nobody buys books anymore. So I have some audio tours coming online. I just had one on Old Town Alexandria. Just went online at voicemap.me. You can see mine and other people's. It's like you're listening to me on your phone, walking the tours. They cost like $5. So if you want to do a tour that way, voice.me. It's voicemap.me. I just put an Alexandria one up. Embassy Road's coming up soon. I have a Lincoln assassination, White House Park. I got a White House ghost tour coming up on audio. Not doing a real one live audio ghost tour because I'd be like, "Ooh, do you hear me?" I can't do that stuff. I am singing a stanza on Embassy Row when Mrs. John. You know, there's a whole thing about anything goes involves one of the people. Let's see. Was I an Oriole fan prior to the Nats? Yeah, Eli, I was a Senators fan. Then they left. So then I became an Orioles fan in the 70s, and that was great Orioles teams. But when the Nats came back, I switched. I wish the Orioles well. I'm happy for their fans who had to put up with 30 years like Redskins fans have with sucky teams. So I'm thrilled that they're doing well for their fans. They deserve it. The defense the best in the NFC East. If the draft pieces deliver, yeah, Tizay, I'd say it'd be right there. Wouldn't it be great to get the rivalry with the Skins Cowboys again? Yeah, but both teams need to win it. RFK Jr. is running for president. Yeah. Do I have any Kennedy stories? I have the RFK Stadium story. I'll tell that real quick before we go. All right. It's DC Stadium. I don't know if you all know that, but when it opened in 61, it was DC Stadium. And then Robert F. Kennedy died 68, was assassinated, probably would have won the presidency. LBJ is leaving in January of 69. Nixon's becoming president. And LBJ tells people, hey, I want that new stadium named for me when I'm done. Can't do it when he's president so much. But there were a lot of Kennedy people in the LBJ cabinet and such that LBJ inherited. LBJ and JFK did not get along real well. It was a political thing, marriage. So they decided at the end to, LBJ treated RFK badly about the funeral situation. He wanted to block Robert Kennedy from being buried at Arlington National Cemetery by his brother. So but eventually he relented to it. And RFK was entitled. He was a vet. So, so to get back at him, the Secretary of the Interior and friends cooked up a scheme that they were going to name the stadium RFK. But they waited till the last hours of the LBJ presidency. The Department of Interior Secretary can name anything he wants in a national park, which is the RFK site. And so they did it in the last hours and called LBJ, who had one of the first car phones, on his way to Nixon's inauguration, say, "Hey, you know that stadium you wanted to name after yourself?" He goes, "Yeah, great." He goes, "Yeah, we're naming it after your buddy RFK." Ha! Click. And that's a true story. It's not that people loved RFK or so much they were screwing. That's a political screw job to LBJ. It's one of the things. All right, I got to get out of here. So, all right, everybody, thank you so much for hanging in there today. Stupid Comcast busting the show in half, but I do appreciate it all. Be back in a couple weeks, more or less, on it, and we'll do Mondays. And once the season starts, come training camp, I do every Monday. So we'll do that. Thanks, Steve, for coming as always and coming twice. All you guys, I appreciate everybody doing it. If you're watching on replay, there's going to be 2 files, I guess, up on YouTube for this show. You can watch either one, both, whatever you want to do. Hit the thanks button later on that, and that's it. So thank you, everybody, for coming, and I'll see you again soon. Thanks, Brandon. See you guys later.